We may have finally some good news about Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Unfortunately, it's not to do with houses. I'm sorry. So I went on the internet and I found out something pretty interesting. So I think like you, the whole time, I've been assuming that this game is gonna cost as much as normal. Ignore the squashed cover. But no, it turns out it's gonna be a $60 game, which is cheaper than games normally are. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh my god, this is so much cheaper. This is gonna completely change my mind. Now I'm gonna buy the game when I wasn't before. But it is some important news because it once again reaffirms my whole point that I've been trying to get across, that this game, and the reality check, is not a AAA game. This is not going to be a fully $70 game, but a few people will take this in different ways. Now, the first way that I saw the reaction happen on Twitter is that people were worried that that means the game is going to be filled with microtransactions. That's what the price means. No, because we already know for a fact that every game that even costs $70 is going to be filled with microtransactions. That's just games with a service as is. We don't know how the DLC or pay model is going to work in this game, but that's something we're going to find out. Yes, the game still needs optimization. We've already discussed this. But basically, for those expecting like a GTA level game, like when Saints Row came out and people were like, oh my god, it's not like GTA 5 at all. It's a lot cheaper, as in to make. Yeah. Or a more realistic explanation would be Forza Horizon. Don't expect 600 cars on launch. It may eventually get there to become a AAA title in the future, but initially they've lowered it a little bit to prove and to get the game into more people's hands. That's the advantage of having a cheaper game. This is something that's been happening a lot in the industry. Like, for example, Stellar Blade just came out. It's a $70 game. And if you're in the UK or Europe, we're looking at £45 for the game. That's pretty good. Oh, and please ignore the date. That's a placeholder. We know this. And just to prove this is multiple outlets having this cheaper price. So normally for us, games have been creeping up quite a lot. £70 for Stellar Blade. No, the currency conversion out the pissing window. So that is a significant change in price, and I'm sure it replicates in the Euro too. I still need to play Stellar Blade. Is it good? Let me know. But two examples of games that have been a little bit cheaper that have performed well because of, well, ultimately they're a cheaper price point. They're allowing more people into the game at a more accessible price. Helldivers 2, they've reversed on the whole PSN situation. So I can say again, Helldivers 2, a good one. The views are going up. It's good. And one of my favorites from the past while is Palworld. Such a sick game, and I probably wouldn't have actually tried it unless it was a cheaper price point. So I know for me, that's the same case. And so I think for the majority of people, that's going to be the same case, which means they underprice all the other competition that's coming out, well, now, and that's already out, because Need for Speed Unbound is, you know, cheap. But we kind of expect Forza Horizon 6 to come out soon. In fact, we expect the announcement to come very, very soon, as in like next month, if the game is coming out this year, which we think it is. So undercut the price and release before them. That's pretty good. And so be something fresh. That's pretty good. Bit of a quick one on servers, actually, because this I found interesting. So a few viewers reached out to me and stated this, and I can't verify that this is the case, but it sounds like that they may be working on a solo play mode. Now, I don't know if this is badly translated, but it seems like they're trying to work to some form of single player, which, even if it's just AI in races that say you couldn't have AI before it had to like search, even if it's a solo play to any level, it does mean that they're thinking about, oh, we should probably allow the offline play. And once again, if they can say, oh, the crew, our main competitor, doesn't offer offline play, we do, it's kind of a one-up on them. It would kind of make sense. So, not to get your hopes up too high, but I have heard from multiple people that's being worked on, and there is an open testing thing in this chat. So I don't know this information for sure, but it's a nice idea, is it not? It would kind of, again, give it a one-up on the crew. Giving them one-up in multiple areas just kind of makes sense. So let's go back a little bit and talk about Test Drive Unlimited 1, because I recently experience the game properly for the first time, because previously it was only little bits of gameplay. I hadn't properly tested out, and this time I spent like 3-4 hours in the game experiencing it. So I actually bought this apartment building, not a hotel like TDU Solar Crown, and I noticed you can't actually interact with the apartment really in any way. You can, you know, go and change your clothes and look at your garage, but you can't really do much else in this space. I had experience with Test Drive Unlimited 2 where you could walk around and go to your garage, and that's definitely the better experience, and it's kind of impressive thinking about it. And this again is something that people keep getting confused about. They're not using these old assets. They cannot. They are building new assets completely for this game, unless there's like a rally car that they could take it off, because these are the people that made WRC, not the old Test Drive games. Except the lead producer on this game was the lead producer for this game, both games. So, or at least the producer. I don't know if he was exactly the lead, but he was on TDU2. But anyway, my point is that we really need apartments. We really need houses. We really need something in those lines. The hotel, I honestly think it's actually a bit of it's good. I don't mind it. So the hotel right here is where you start your test drive experience when you load up the game. And the reason they wanted to go for a hotel is because once you go downstairs, you are in the lobby with multiple people straight away. If it's your house, well, ultimately you don't bump into other people. So the solution could be clubhouses. Again, we could talk about that a little bit later, but there you go. This was the example. This was what they were trying to demonstrate with this event. Whether you liked the event or not, it wasn't perfect, but the idea is they're grouping up and they're ready to go on their adventure. And I really wish this area was like filled with your cars or the people in the sessions cars, so you could go up and interact with the people like you can in the free roam. That's kind of the test drive experience that I really want to see. Like, as someone that was like, okay, well, the hotel kind of makes sense and the houses are coming later. I'm literally the guy we just saw a second ago. We know that houses made an impression on TDU players. While this feature will not be in the game when TDUSC launches, it is part of a long list of features we have already researched for future content in the medium and long term. So once again, it goes back to that. There probably is going to be some form of funding later. Now, WRC, I'm going to research this video. WRC, does that have DLC? There you go. WRC Generations. This is the newest WRC game by KC Racing. And it does indeed have paid DLC items. Now, they don't actually have that many of them, but I'm kind of curious, what would be the best model? This is something I've been discussing quite a lot recently, is do you like the model that we have with most games, where it's a live service, where everything gets updated for free, and then you pay some microtransaction money, or you pay for a battle pass like in Need for Speed? Or do you prefer just straight up DLC like this, like the Forza packs? I'm kind of curious how they're going to go about it, but this would definitely be something that funds the future updates and hopefully the houses. But the good news is, when they announced the house situation, this was actually a while ago. Yes, literally May 23rd. So a year ago, this was announced that houses are coming later. So at this point, the game planned to be out in that same year. So I would say they've probably been working on this in the background. Can you imagine if they do an event, because there's got to be an event soon, they've got to reveal it soon, it's got to come out soon, Forza's going to win out next month, and that comes out after an event where they go, oh yeah, always online, no longer required, you're welcome, and here's the game with beautiful now detailed effects and stuff, and we've added houses. Because let's be real, we know what they're working on, which is optimizations, which is, you know, maybe includes the interior designer people, but also the server stability situation. So they could also, you know, be making an offline mode, so that if more people buy the game at launch and the servers don't work than they expect, well, then we can still play, because it would be very disappointing otherwise. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is, during the game, when I played this game, it was probably one of the most spaces that I went to. And the spaces in Test Drive are important to the developers. They've mentioned that time and time again, that they know it's important. And houses, realistically, more important than maybe going to the garages, the separate dealerships. Maybe I wouldn't say that, but it's up there. It's very important. And if for the short term, what they could do is have the home space in where, well, as I said, the whole area has the people in that session's cars on display, so that you can see them and they can show off and you can be like, damn, that's a nice car. It makes sense. But it can't be the whole team working on just optimizations. Others have to be working on adaptations and future content for Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Now would just make so much sense. So hey, hint, maybe it's possible to get the things we were kind of expecting. They can't be spending a year on just optimizing and getting the servers to work. Anyway, does it change your perception of the game, knowing now that in the US it's a little bit cheaper, in the UK and Europe it's going to be quite significantly cheaper, if anything, if we believe those prices? But it wouldn't make sense because I've only really now just seen and actually got advertised those copies of the game. The Argos one was advertised to me, so it wouldn't make sense to advertise it at that price and let me pre-order and buy the damn thing, and then you go, oh damn, it's actually cost more. Now we've got less money than we could have got. They surely wouldn't do that. But the point still stands either way, whether they actually change it or not. They've had that extra time, so surely we get some extra goodies, right? Does it make you want to buy the game more? Let me know and check out this.